What's happening, bunnies? And today we are looking at one of my favorite comps. It is a dragon mage comp, which at the moment works really well, especially if you're up against other mage comps, because of the way that dragons ultimate. So I'll take you step by step through my thought process in terms of why I made the decisions I did. It is a King 1 match, and I actually think we were promoted to King 2 during this match, so that's quite exciting as well. Hope you guys enjoy it. If you do, don't forget to drop a like and hit that subscribe button and leave me some comments so I can hear what you guys think about the gameplay. Anyways, let's jump straight in there. Righty, so we actually get a really nice opening stall. The shop gives us 2 Gods of War and a Skybreaker, so I actually lock that in. I don't generally lock in at the first store, even the first few stores. I don't generally lock in as far as possible, but in this instance the pair of God of Wars is really exciting, or Gods of War is really exciting, because that opens the potential for various different comps, especially if we're looking at mages. So I lock that in. Obviously Skybreaker as an opening unit, super strong, especially if we get some of the synergies in from a Goblin Mage perspective. So that's why I chose those two. Having looking at what the other guys are playing, you'll see there's already some other 2-star units. Most of them are warriors. That's good news for us, because generally if someone picks up a 2-star warrior early on, they look to move into a comp that uses that, which means that you're looking potentially at a beast warrior comp, or a 9 warrior comp, or maybe even a hunter warrior type comp. And if we do move into or branch into mages, that'll really be helpful for us. So you'll see now we actually get fortunate enough to pick up our next God of War. And I'm not sure, but I think we might pick up the Winter Chiropteran here. You can see we're definitely contemplating whether or not to take the piece. But I think that, okay, we pick up the Abyssal instead. And I think that's because we didn't have 3 pieces to put on the board. And Winter Chiropteran is really quite a useless piece, actually. I think at pretty much any level, even once you get him to 3 stars, he's not the most valuable piece at this point. I think they need to make some changes to the character, or to the piece to buff him a little bit. But either way, based on that, we put the Abyssal on instead, because at this stage we haven't made a decision where we're branching into. So you'll see right now we have potential for the Dragon Mage on the bench. We also have an Abyssal there, which could pair up with Soulbreaker at a later stage to form some sort of a maybe Divinity Assassin comp. And so we keep our branches open. I've got the Red Axe there as well, in case we move into more of a full warrior type comp. And that's kind of how I generally play the early games. I like to keep a lot of different options open. And then depending on, number one, what the other guys are playing, in terms of contested pieces, and different synergies that they might be running, we want to try and counter those synergies, or at the very least ensure that we're not running too many of the same synergies that other guys are running. And then secondly, what comes out of the shop is also really important for us. So here we get another Abyssal. There's 2 unicorns and an E-Ranger. I think we would probably, I would be surprised if we didn't pick up the E-Ranger. Okay, we pick up the 2 unicorns instead, so that kind of makes sense. Taboo's quite strong early rounds, so I see why we put her there, or why we picked her up. That can also be useful if we move into a Feathered Assassin comp. It would be great to have the Taboo. So again, just keeping the options open, but we opt instead to put the Abyssal back on, and that's because again we might look at moving into an assassin type of build. And you'll also notice we're not winning all of our matches. So we do have the 2-star God of War, but we lost our previous round, and I think the round before that as well, I'm not sure. But getting a 2-star unit early game doesn't necessarily mean you're going to move straight into a win streak. You can see in this instance we lose again, and that's unfortunate for us. But I think the turning point happens now when we pick up Thunder Spirit, because We get the guards as well, and that means that we potentially could be looking at a 3-star guard unit, which is really helpful for us. And picking up the Thunder Spirit early game is also really great because he is quite tanky on the front line, because he gets his ult off much quicker. And so you see we actually transition him onto the board immediately, get rid of the Abyssal Crawler, and I think we'll probably sell the other one as well, because at this stage we haven't considered looking at economy yet. We've just been trying to pick up some good pieces, but as you can tell, some of these other teams are really strong. Like so Islam at the moment here, it's got a really strong back line. He's also put in the Shadow Crawler, which is a really strong early unit piece, so early game piece. So we need to be aware of that and understand that potentially we'll move into more of a lose streak than anything else. And lose streaking is okay. I'm not always a huge fan of it because I'm not very good at it, but that's part of the game, is to learn how to improve on your weaknesses. And for me, lose streaks, I tend to push into the lose streak, but when I come out, I'm still not strong enough to maintain or get into a win streak situation, and then I end up just dying either way. But as you can see at the moment, we're second from the bottom. We are on a lose streak, and the idea now is, number one, to lose by as little as possible so you don't reduce your HP too quickly, and secondly, to economize. So we want to make sure that we pick up a lot of money as soon as we can. We need to be careful not to win matches. But as an example, this situation here where we lose by 4 points is still pretty reasonable. I'm happy to do that. What you don't want to do is lose by 10 points or more each round, because then you're actually going to fall out really quickly, and you're not going to be able to economize as quickly as you would want to. So there's a good example here of where we are 19 econ, and you'll see we actually sell the Skybreaker. I think maybe we could have, yeah, I suppose that makes sense. We could have sold the Taboo, or either of them, I guess, because we have both of them are pairs, so we had to make a sacrifice on one end or the other. We didn't sell the Winter Chiropteran because we are looking at him for our Mage comp. If we're going into a Dragon Mage comp, we need that pair. It's quite an important pair for us at this stage to get to 6 mages. So we make a sale of one of the other ones, and the reason we do that is to get to 20 econ, because if we're going to lose streak, it's important that we build up money quickly. So it doesn't help we sit on 19 and lose out on the extra interest. We push it up to 20 and get our interest going at a quicker rate. So you'll see now, if you look on the board, we're equal to Mustafa with the highest amount of econ on the board at the moment, and that's what you want to be doing if you're lose streaking. You'll see Tumora at the bottom also going on a lose streak, but as it stands, he doesn't have a lot of econ, so that's going to be a worry for him. There are units, however, that we do need to pick up. So Tortola is a really important unit for us, so we pick him up quite early. Whether or not we should have put him on the board already is debatable, simply because, again, we don't want to be losing matches or winning matches too soon, and he is quite a powerful unit. However, he doesn't have a mana crystal, and we don't have a source either, which means that his strength and his ability to ult is going to become really slow. And so maybe we'll still be okay here, but we also picked up the 2-star Skybreaker, which makes our team a lot more powerful. So I'm worried here that we might actually pick up the win, but I think looking at it, we're going to be okay. It's going to be pretty close here. Okay, and that actually turns out to be the perfect loss. Like, we lost by 1 unit with 2 stars, and that's a really good loss for us. So it turns out that the decision wasn't too bad. We now start picking up some of the other pieces that we need. We are looking at going 6 mages, and that excludes God of Thunder. So at this stage, the Tortola becomes our key unit. So as long as we have Tortola there, he tends to be the one that we really struggle to pick up. In the olden days, it used to be that you needed God of Thunder, otherwise the comp wouldn't work. But because we're running dragons, we can actually pick up the extra mage synergy from the Winter Chiropteran, which is why we're keeping him on the sideline. This is a tricky one because there's a good chance we lose to rock golems, and I hate losing to rock golems. In this instance, we're really hoping that the ult goes off nicely, which it does. So Tortola's ult really saves the day here. I'm not sure if we win, but I think we do, yeah. And that's really just because Totolo got the ult. So really happy with that. What you don't want to be doing is losing in your creep rounds. And when you're building mage comps, that can happen quite easily because you have such a squishy backline. Fortunately for us, we had the 2-star God of War, the 2-star Skybreaker, so that's really going to help. Skybreaker is a temporary unit though, so we do know that we will be getting rid of him shortly. We want to be on 50 econ ASAP. We're already on 41, so you can see we're actually substantially higher than anyone. We're more than double most of the people on the board at this point in time, which is great for us from an econ perspective. And actually, considering we've been on a losing streak, our HP is pretty high. 77 is pretty high to be on a losing streak. Generally, you can push down below 50 even during your losing streak. And it looks like in this instance it's going to be close, but I think we're going to win this one. And we do. So we end off our losing streak here, and I'm not sure if that's great yet. It might have been a little bit early to come off of that. We haven't hit our 50 econ yet. We are on 47, which is close, but we also don't have a lot of the units that we require to build this comp. So it would have been nice, I think, if we had lost 1 or 2 more rounds. That would have really helped us. But it's okay because our HP is in a decent position. We've got good economy, and our team's actually starting to build up quite well. So we're not that far off from where we want to be in terms of composition. And then all we need to really do is focus on leveling up. So what we do want is we need more dragons. So Shining Dragon is key for us here, and then it becomes a decision of, do we take Dragon Knight if we can find him, or do we go with Venom instead? So in this instance we have a Venom on the board already. Dragon Knight obviously far more difficult to pick up, but those are basically the 3 dragons that you need. We have Winter, and we have Venom, which means we need Shining Dragon at the very least because he's one of our mage units, so we definitely will need him. And picking up this 2-star Thunder Spirit is also going to be extremely useful for us. We level up here, and the idea is, again, now that we've come off our losing streak, we definitely don't want to be going back into losing, because then all we're doing is we're middling, and you don't want to be in between win and lose streaks. So we have to strengthen up our team. So we make the call to level up. We've now got a few more 2-star units, which is great. The 2-star Totolo will come later because he's a far rarer piece to pick up. But at this stage, this is Sir Islam again, and as you can see, we're far stronger against him than we were earlier. So pretty happy with the way that we've built our team up, and our econ is now also in a really good position. You'll see we're sitting on 50 econ, and most of the other guys are still, I would say, 20s and under. There's only a few that are above that. So we'll probably pick up the Venom here. Hemlock. We might even roll down to 50. Yeah, I see so. Just so that we can pick up some more of the units that we require. We don't need another Skybreaker, but we don't need to push the Winter Chiropter into 3-star because, again, he's a pretty useless piece. The only reason we actually have him is for his synergies. Because he's Dragon and he's Mage and he's easy to get hold of, he really helps build the Dragon Mage synergy quickly, rather than having to struggle and wait for a Dragon Knight. You'll notice we haven't lost a match yet since we came out of our losing streak. So that's exactly kind of where you want to be. You want to be pushing win streak as soon as you come out of losing streak. And although we are winning, it is pretty close. We're not winning like substantially. And you can see there against Boinar, who we faced on their board, they actually won that match. So we're definitely not in what you would consider a comfortable position. We know that we could go back into middling at any moment now. But because of that, we're keeping some econ. So we've got 2 options. We can either level up again. By leveling up, it means that we're going to be able to put another piece on the board. We do have another 2-star God of War, which might be useful. It's not going to help a lot on our DPS, but it'll give our mages time to ult which means that Tortola could potentially get a second alt off. The other option is we roll down and try and 2-star some of the units that we have and pick up some of the units that we still require. So we don't have a Flaming Wizard yet, and that'll be really helpful. We obviously need to 2-star Tortola. We don't have a Dragon Knight yet, so that'll also be useful. And in this comp, in terms of getting human synergy, we like to get Pirate Captain as well. So it'd be great if we could pick up one of those units earlier on rather than later. And if we do pick up the Dragon Knight soon, we'll probably get rid of Venom because okay, although now we 2-star him. I was going to say because he's also a 1-star unit and he's interchangeable. But we do get our Pirate Captain, so that's useful. And you'll see we actually make the call to put a lot of money into leveling up. And we have the Shining Dragon on the bench there. So now we need to reposition back because we positioned for our wolves. And we're now positioning back into our normal positioning. And soon we'll probably put on Pirate Captain, and definitely Shining Dragon will need to come on soon, because once Shining Dragon's on, we have our 3-star, we have our 3 synergy dragon, which is going to be really important for us for this composition. And we're still winning games, so you'll see now we hit our 5 win streak, which is important for us because it's going to help our econ rise quickly. Even though we're already on 50, it gives us the opportunity to level up quicker, as well as to roll down for units that we might require.
Look out, world!
We locked in the Shining there, and because we are able to level up this round because of the way we've been economizing, we can actually put in the Shining Dragon now, and we have Dragon Synergy. So now we have our first sort of view of what our final comp is going to look like. There's still a couple of pieces we're missing, and obviously the Skybreaker will need to go at some stage. We will probably replace Skybreaker with the Pirate Captain, because that will also then give us human synergy, especially if we pick up a Flaming Wizard. Although Tortola also has human synergy, or the Dragon Knight also has human synergy. So there's many options here. Even the Source, if we pick up the Source, which we'll definitely want for Tortola. Then our human synergy, we can actually get 4/4 human synergy, and that'll be really useful for us if we're silencing other teams like Mages, as an example. Okay, bit of a crappy shop there, nothing much for us to pick up. So instead we spend some of the cash. You'll see we spent 1 on leveling up there, and we'll probably roll down to 50 and take the God of War.
I am the God of War,
because that's all we
boy.
really need now. If we can get a 3-star God of War, that definitely helps when it comes to late game. The 3-star God of War is really going to give your mages more time to ult, and that's exactly what you need. The whole idea of mages is that they nuke, so they basically have one really big shot of damage, but if that doesn't kill everybody, then sometimes you can be in trouble. So here was a good example. Tortola got her ult off, or his ult off, but it didn't kill everybody. And once that happens, he takes a long time before he can refresh that ultimate. And in that instance, the rest of the opposition can come in and basically squish him. So that's what happens if you don't have a stronger front line. So that 3-star God of War is going to be quite useful for us to give him more time to generate mana. But we're still in an okay position here. We're not in a bad position.
We'll win the fight by Dragonfire.
Second Shining Dragon's useful. You definitely want Shining Dragon at the very least at 2 stars. I find that the difference between 2 and 3 stars is reasonable, but it's not really worth the grind. I'd rather focus on Dragon Knight and getting Dragon Knight to 2-star, because he's really going to carry you quite strongly through a lot of these rounds when your mages are too squishy. So we have lost 1 or 2 rounds already now, as you know. So we're definitely not back on the win streak, but our team's at a reasonable place. We know that because we have some HP to work with, that we're going to be okay, and we have
always
econ,
gets the
so
bone.
we'll manage to pick up the pieces that we're looking for. We don't pick up the siren, I don't think, here, because we are on a creep round, so we don't want to spend money here. We want to rather focus on getting the interest in, because that's important for us. And so instead we just reposition for the lethal Ursus. We do definitely want to 2-star that Tortola though. We should be quite comfortable here. I don't think we'll have issues with these. We do pick up the Kira Axe. If we do have a shield, it means we have Heaven's Gift, and we do. So we put Heaven's Gift onto God of War immediately. What's really nice with Heaven's Gift in this sort of a comp is that your units are clustered quite a lot when you're playing with mages. Even the dragons, they don't tend to move around too much. They tend to stay within quite a confined space. And because of that, we picked up a Dragon Knight. I didn't even notice that. Because we are in a confined space, it means that Heaven's Gift is going to impact the majority of the team and give them that extra shield. So that's really, really useful for us. We also have the egg now, which is good news because it means that we can... oh, we forgot to reposition here. It's okay, I think we'll be okay for this round. It also automated. You'll see there's a new setting that automates if you don't have all the players on the board. So let's say you're on level 8 and you only have 7 players on the board. It automatically puts 1 player on the board for you. It's not the greatest thing to have on if you're lose streaking, because sometimes you don't want to have a full comp on. But in this instance, it was great. It put on a second God of War for us, and we probably would lose by a lot if we didn't have that God of War on there. So at least it put something on and it wasn't the egg or something like that. So that's good news. We're probably saving the egg for Dragon, because if we can get the Dragon Knight to 2-star, we could definitely take that Skybreaker off, because he's not very useful for us at this stage. We also want to get to 6/6 mages, so we're looking for mages now to put on. We do have the source, and the source is probably going to help us a lot with Tortola Alda, so definitely putting that on there. Now we have 5/6 mages, so we're only 1 short, and that's Flaming Wizard at this stage, which is also interchangeable with God of Thunder if we do get to level 9 or 10. However, we do get human synergy from Flaming, so I tend to, for some reason, I actually really like having Flaming Wizard on for the human synergy. If I get to level 10, I would put on God of Thunder as a bonus, but I do like having 4/4 human synergy, so generally I would put Flaming on, unless obviously it's a 2-star God of Thunder. That's a very different situation. So we're picking up quite nicely now. It seems like the top 4, I mean, Booksoy I played very recently in one of the GLL comps, and he's a top player. He's a really good player, so he's definitely one to watch out for. And Mustafa and Sir Islam I've also played before, so definitely some good players in the lobby. Something to watch out for. We do use our egg on the Tortola, which is a bit unfortunate because, as you see, we pick up a Tortola just afterwards, but that's sort of Murphy's Law. That's understandable. And you can see we're pushing for a 3-star Thunder Spirit, which would also be really useful for us because he's one of our frontline tanks at the moment. As you get to the mid to late game, if you have goblins on the board, unless you're running a full goblin synergy, so if you only have like 1 goblin on the board, his effectiveness is going to be reduced substantially. So it's worth getting rid of him now just to put on the Pirate Captain. Pirate Captain's ultimate is really going to help us from a crowd control perspective, where the Skybreaker is going to start losing value now that we're in round 23. The value of that Skybreaker is going to decrease quite substantially. He's a really strong early game, and if you are running the Goblin Gamble, he can be really strong late game. but at this stage of the game he doesn't form part of our composition at all.
My
We do get a nice
dragon
little
needs
high
to
roll
take a
there, a
breath.
mini high roll I would say, and we pick up the 2-star dragon, which means that we no longer need the venom we could probably sell now, and we do that because we only need 3 dragons. Just for interest's sake, if you have 4 dragons on the board, the synergy, as far as I understand, it only works on 3 of the dragons. It doesn't work on the 4th dragon, the dragon synergy, which means that I think it works like from left to right or something like that. You guys will have to correct me on that one, but basically the first 3 will actually ult immediately and the other one will not be affected by dragon synergy. So just something to note if you are running 4 dragons. You shouldn't need to run 4 dragons. If you've got the Dragon Knight, I don't see why you'd want to have the venom on. What you could do is use the venom instead of the Winter Chiropteran. The reason I don't do that is because I'm using the Mage synergy from the Winter Chiropteran to get 6 mages. You'll see now we have 5 mages, but we are going to pick up the Flaming Wizard. So the second we can level up to level 9, we will be able to get the Flaming on and have 6/6 synergy on Mage, and that's going to change the game for us. That's like a turning point in any Mage game, is when you get the 6th one in, because the magic resistance decreases so substantially, and you'll notice that effect immediately. Should be okay here with Wild Wings. Wild Wings can be difficult sometimes because they're so quick. Especially against a squishy comp like Mages. You'll see here, if we do win this, it's going to be extremely close, and we actually pick up the draw there, so that just shows you it was like 3 against 1 there at the end, but his speed just really supersedes the impact that our Mages have, because again they're nuking units, so they're not like continuous damage units. They're really reliant on getting their ultimates off. We soup up our God of War now, so that's quite cool. Get some extra armor onto him. That's going to be helpful for the same reason that we discussed earlier. And we actually spend the extra cash on the extra cash on leveling, so that's also exciting for us. And now you'll see the difference. We're facing Sir Islam. He's currently sitting in 4th. But look how we eat through that team quite quickly, and that's because of the 6/6 synergy of Mages. Like we absolutely pump through that quite quickly. The damage that Tortola is going to be pushing out now, that Dragon Knight is going to be pushing out, and that Shining Dragon, Thunder Spirit, all our Mages are really going to be doing high DPS at the moment. Obviously with the exception of Source, but she's there for providing mana to everyone else, so that's really, really important. The other thing you'll notice in this game is you can tell that it's quite a high ranking game. We're already at level 27. In a lot of games, as you're progressing towards level 30, that sort of becomes your end game region. Like a lot of people are falling out, a lot of people have already dropped off at this stage. We're on level 27 and we haven't lost a single player yet, so that just shows you sort of the quality of the players that we're up against at this stage. A very tough lobby, a really high level of quality of all the guys that are playing here. You can see how nicely Heaven Gift goes off there because of the way our units are clustered, so we get a really good hit of shield there, which is really, really nice for us. And once our second nuke goes off, we take out the Warpwood quite comfortably, and we're on a good win streak now at the moment, so we're in a pretty decent position. We did spend quite a lot of econ to number 1 level up, and also to find some of the units that we wanted. Dragons cost 4 econ, so they are expensive to buy, but once you get it to level 2, it's absolutely worth it. You'll notice as well we sold some of our Thunder Spirits, and we needed that from an econ perspective, but now that we are reaching closer towards level 30 and the end of the game, it kind of makes sense for us to now start spinning our econ.
the fire
We desperately
of the
need
phoenix.
the 2-star Flaming, so we actually use the egg on her. And I think it'll be worthwhile. If we watch the DPS bar, I think we'll see that her DPS starts shooting up quite nicely, I'm hoping, if the other nukes don't all go off.
I'll be
Okay, so it's
back.
pretty average in that round. Shining Dragon seems to be the key
Don't
player
touch
in
my
that round.
trophy, I'm
But if you look on the
guarding.
other boards where we're playing, we're defeating those teams quite comfortably. So that's a good position to be in at this stage. It's round 28 and we've only now lost our first player. So that just shows you the caliber of the people that we're actually up against. I think we'll lock that shop because of the Thunder Spirit. We really want to get a 3-star Thunder Spirit at this stage. And that being said, even though we've only lost one player, you know, a lot of the other players are still sitting just below 50 HP. So we actually, the guys are still in a pretty strong position. There's guys there, at least 4 of them, that have some decent econ to work with. We're only sitting on 2 econ at this point in the game, so we are depending, and it's actually a win condition for us that we can win streak here and economize. So
I'll be
we're on a
back
9-win
for
streak, which is good news. It means that our econ can rise quite quickly as we lose our second player. But the idea now really is that we need to try and 3-star that God of War and that Thunder Spirit. If one of the other teams manages to get a power spike because of their econ, let's say they roll down and pick up some really strong units, that would put us in a very difficult position because we wouldn't be able to counter that power spike without any economy. We wouldn't be able to make any substantial changes. And I think that's where the risk sits in this sort of stage of the game. That being said, we do have a little bit of HP to work with because we're on 69
always gets the
and
bone.
second place is still in the 40s. So we have about 1 or 2 rounds of loss that we could work with should the need arise to try and economize up. But I think at this stage our composition is pretty much complete. There's not much that we're going to change here. We're just going to focus on leveling up or improving the quality of the units that we have on the board. So we're definitely not going to focus on getting to level 10. I don't think there's any unit that we'd want to put on unless we got a God of Thunder, but we already have 6/6 synergy in terms of mages. So the only other thing we might want to look for is getting a 6th human, so you could get 6/6 human synergy, because that could also be a game changer for us. But our team is still relatively strong. As you can see, we're climbing through the teams reasonably well. Bucksoy gives us quite a difficult time there, but we still win by 4 pieces, and that gives us our 10-win streak. We also pick up a Magicka Crystal, which is useful. I'm not sure if Totola has one yet, otherwise it would probably go onto Flaming. You wouldn't put a Magicka Crystal onto Shining Dragon because of the Dragon synergy. She gets her ult off immediately, so it would be a waste of a mana crystal. We already have a Ring of Life on Totola as well, which means that we get Orb of Regen with that Magicka Crystal. If we can get another one of those, it means we get Orb of Refresh, which means he's going to be able to ultimate twice in a row. And that would be an absolute game changer for us, because his ultimate is one of the highest damages that we can actually give to the opposition. So if he can get that off twice in a row, it would be quite difficult for them at this stage to be able to fight back against the composition that we're running at this
The
point in
alpha
time.
always gets the bone.
We're 1 away from our 3-star Thunder Spirit as well, so that's pretty cool. I think the reason we haven't econed up now is we've been sort of just YOLO rolling just to try and find that last unit. I think once we find that unit, we'll probably just focus on just spinning as little as possible and getting our econ up. However, if you look at the 5 players that are left, excluding us, they're all sitting on pretty low HP, so unless they have a major power spike for some reason, if they pick up a key unit or something like that that they're missing, If that doesn't happen, then we should be okay here. The 2-star Siren does make a big difference though. You'll notice there that could have definitely been a loss for our team. But that's one to watch out for. Sir Islam sitting quite comfortably there with that 2-star Siren. In fact, I would almost suggest that if we ran to a level 10, a Storm Shaman or a Siren would probably be the way to go here, just to counter some of the other teams that are on the board. That being said, they all have to face each other still, and the highest one's on 11 HP at the moment. We're still on 69 HP, so we have time to work with. We still haven't lost our losing streak, so we're in a pretty decent position. We don't have any 3-star units, but we're still managing to be quite strong because our Tortola is nuking really well. A lot of the units that we have are doing a good job here. And even there you saw with the 3-star units that were on the board, we managed to come through, and I think that's simply because of Tortola. And now we pick up some nice items as well. I think that might have been a misplay to combine those 2 items onto Tortola. If we had waited maybe 1 or 2 rounds, we could have got the Orb of Refresh if someone else dropped a Ring of Life for us. And there are only 2 other players left besides us, so as we move into Black Dragon King, we're in a pretty decent position, and our econ is now back up to 30. So we could roll down after this round and try and pick up the 3-star Thunder Spirit. Our teams are already strong, but I think it would just make a big difference because he is one of our frontline tanks. So it would make sense for us to try and strengthen him up a little bit. If he could get off 1 extra ult because of an increase in armor or HP or whatever comes with the level 3, that could make a big difference to us. So I'd be surprised if we didn't roll down quite soon, simply because the other players don't have econ and they're already on really low HP, which means they could actually drop out within the next round or 2. It could be, this is definitely the end game now. Yeah, and you can see there goes our roll down. So we also pick up 2 strange eggs, which is nice.
I'm an Easter egg. You found me.
Where that could help us is if we pick up 1 more God of War, we could probably use it there. But if not, there's no real reason that we could actually use that. Egg.
Out of the way.
So we're facing Mustafa on his board, and he gets defeated. Mustafa's facing Tamora on his board, and if Tamora loses that, he's going to be out as well. Oh, and he loses that substantially. So that's going to be the game then. We take that quite comfortably actually, and that pushes us up to King 2. So it was quite an exciting game for us. I hope you guys enjoyed the comp. It's a comp that's become one of my favorites, running Dragon Mages. And as you can see, it worked out really well. So if you enjoyed that video, if you learned something, that's really great. Drop a comment, let me know what you guys thought. And don't forget to hit that like button and drop a subscribe to the channel. We're trying to grow as much as we can, and we really appreciate your guys' support. So thank you for watching. I hope you had a good time. I certainly did. And I will check you in the next video. Until then, cheers and enjoy.